Hello, Panthers. This is Mr. Mon, and I'm going to be reading to you the That's Life article from our Ecosystems and Interactions unit. You have the option through YouTube to add closed captioning. And if you are an English language learner, you could do this and it will give you subtitles. If you go to settings, it can also give you the subtitles in a different language. So if you're an English language learner, that would be very helpful. If English is your first language, then you can just kind of read along. Feel free to pause, and that way you can read along with me. So that's life. The caption here says, which parts of the environment pictured above are biotic factors and which parts are abiotic factors? Okay, so we're going to be talking about ecosystems and abiotic and biotic factors. Imagine yourself taking a pleasant walk down a forest path made of soil and tiny pieces of rock. The sun is shining through the leaves of the trees towering over your head, and the birds in the trees combine their various songs. Small plants line the path, and you see a small waterfall tumbling over rocks just where the path curves. A deer leans down for a drink of water from a pool just a few feet away from a glittering crystal that reflects the sun's light in a rainbow of colors. When people think about an environment such as a forest trail, they notice that the evidence of life around them. However, a healthy environment includes abiotic factors, or non-living things, as well as biotic factors, or living things. Biotic factors would include all of the organisms, or plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, and other living things. What types of abiotic factors are present in forest trail environments? What type of biotic factors are present? What are the differences between abiotic and biotic factors? Characteristics of living things. All living things share certain characteristics. All living things are composed of cells, grow, reproduce, and eventually die. All living things show movement. Some only move inside their bodies, others can also move from place to place. All living things exchange gases with their environment. Plants take in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen. Both plants and animals take in oxygen and give off carbon dioxide. All living things need energy for life processes. Plants use energy from the sun to manufacture their own food and, in turn, use that food as an energy source. Other organisms must take in food and break it down into small molecules to harvest the energy for them. The life process of a living thing must produce waste, and they must excrete. Page 2. Up here it says, while sunlight seems like it would not be a biotic factor, we'll start over. While sunlight seems like it could be a biotic factor, it is not alive. However, it does provide resources necessary for living things like plants to grow. This little caption says, although a crystal's growth pattern can make it look alive, it is actually formed by the atoms of the crystals added to itself, and it is not through a process of reproduction. Back to our article. All living things respond in some way to changes in their environment. While non-living things may have one or more of these characteristics, living things must meet all of the characteristics listed. Characteristics of non-living things. There are many non-living things that seem like they might fit into the definition of having life. The crystal by the forest pool is a highly organized array of atoms. A crystal of salt, for example, has a lattice of chlorine and sodium atoms that extend its pattern from one end of the crystal to another. This gives the appearance that the crystal is reproducing. Although crystals grow, they do not reproduce. All a crystal can do is add to itself. It cannot take its energy to fuel its processes, and it does not excrete. Since sunlight provides energy that plants use to make their food, wouldn't sunlight be considered a living thing? Although it's a source of energy, sunlight is an abiotic factor in an environment. It does not share the characteristics of living things because it does not have cells. It also does not reproduce, produce waste, or make or take in food. Soil is a combination of both abiotic and biotic factors, because it includes both living and non-living components. If you look at soil under a microscope, you might see pieces of dead organisms or small living things, including microorganisms. You would also see tiny particles of rocks and sand. Sometimes parts of the environment, like soil, it's not easy to classify as abiotic or biotic. While many things meet one or more of the characteristics of living things, it is not all of the criteria is met. An object is not a living or biotic thing. Yet, you can see from the forest trail, living and non living things interact in environments all the time.